how to set prices in your business. This is a topic that many business owners, I think, take for granted, but it does merit spending a little bit of time understanding how you price your product or your services compared to the rest of the marketplace. So this particular episode is finely tuned for businesses that are either in the struggling or the adjusting quadrant of the cash flow quadrant. If you don't know what that is, check the show notes because there is a link there that explains what the cash flow quadrant is, which basically helps a business go from nothing to something great. And today's topic really does cater to the business that is figuring out how to generate profit and cash, or has a bunch of cash and is now trying to figure out how to be more profitable. It doesn't apply so much to a growing business, because by the time your business is growing, pricing is something that hopefully you've developed a policy around, or you have a very good working knowledge of why you price your products and your services the way that you do. So for other entrepreneurs that happen to be in that struggling or that adjusting quadrant, hopefully today's episode will be very helpful for you. So when you set the prices for your business, really the first thing that you need to do is you need to figure out, okay, what is the rate or the price in the marketplace right now? If I was to call 10 companies in the marketplace, what kind of price am I going to get? And what you're going to find is that prices generally fall into a range. It would be highly unlikely, unless you are a professional services business where you basically operate by yourself. But if you run a business in the marketplace and you have a team of people that service customers every single day, chances are that the prices for your products or services are going to fit somewhere in a range. So the first thing that you need to do is to determine, what does that range look like? Now, I can tell you, I've owned businesses for a couple of decades, good, bad, and otherwise, and this is an exercise that I have only ever done when I've been in trouble. Generally speaking, the pricing for the services or the products that I've been involved with has really just been an organic function of having been in the marketplace, knowing what the prices are, hearing from competitors, but I've never done it wasn't normal for me to sit down and figure out what the spectrum of pricing is. I now know better, because as you'll discover through the rest of this episode, there's a lot of things that you can learn by calling competitors, by looking at their website, by doing some very basic intelligence work. You can kind of figure out a lot about the business, and you'll see what that means in just a second. So the first thing you need to do when you're trying to figure out how to set prices in your business is to figure out what is the spectrum of prices in the market already. Okay? And then you need to decide for your business, you need to say, okay, are we an above average business? Are we a below average business? Or are we just average? Should we be pricing our services like everybody else? Do we have an opportunity to, because we're an above average business, do we have an opportunity to price our services higher or products higher than comparable businesses? Or are we not quite at the bar yet and we need to be a little bit more affordable in order to attract customers in the door? Now, here's what I've discovered. What I've discovered in all of my years when I price a product is your prices normally will attract a certain type of customer. You can be the lowest cost provider of a service in the marketplace, but then you're going to attract those types of customers that generally take more work, as we all know, and they're not the most exciting customers to work with. Whereas if you set the bar higher for your business, for your product or your service, in terms of the price, you generally will attract a higher quality customer. It'll be a better experience for you. It'll be a better experience for them. You'll most likely enjoy working with them. But here's the catch. Your business has to be able to deliver on the product or service promise that the rest of the market is giving. So some businesses will say, we price ourselves competitively. So we look to be exactly where everybody else is in the marketplace. But what we look to do is we look to leverage technology, systems, processes, so that we can earn a better margin on that same price. So if you took 5 of our competitors, you would see they all have the same price, but we know that the way we handle customers, the way we fulfill our orders, the way we track maybe our time or our resources or our inventory, we know that we have some better things, better practices inside of our business. So we don't need to necessarily raise our prices to get a better customer. We know that we can go into the marketplace at the market price, and because of our best practices, because of the things that make us unique, maybe our cost structure, we will be able to win the business from the marketplace. Conversely, if your business isn't there, if you look at your business and say, man, we're not quite at the level of our industry, we don't really maybe have a website, we don't have a full team, we are still learning about our particular marketplace, you might have to bring your costs down, you have to bring your prices down in order to attract any customers whatsoever. But here's what I can tell you. Competing on price for most small businesses is not the best strategy in the world. The reason for that is because if the only reason your business is profitable is because it's the lowest price, all it takes is somebody else to come into the marketplace, drop their price a little bit lower, and then they win the business. Versus creating a business where the price is reflective of the value that the customer is getting for the entire experience that goes into them interacting with your business. And when a competitor comes into the marketplace, they don't have to replace your price. They actually have to replace the value and the experience that your customers have in order to win that customer away from you. And so when you look to set prices in your business, the price itself is just the starting point. What you really want to understand is within that price, what are we doing up and down? Up being what are we offering in terms of more value and service, down being how are we cutting our costs or how are we doing things better, so that the price doesn't become something that someone can compete away from you. They actually have to compete away your business itself. They have to have, on the lower end, they have to have a better cost structure than you. They have to run their business more efficiently than you. They have to have maybe cheaper office space. They may have to have less people on their team, so their payroll is less. They may have less burden in terms of what they do when they order fulfill, in terms of how they put all of those steps together. And then on the high end, on the upper end, they would have to have a better customer experience for the type of customer that you service. They would have to have more value being presented to your customer than what your business is presenting. And so a couple of minutes ago, I said this isn't something I used to do because it sort of seemed to me that, we will just do the business that we do and the customers will walk in the door and we'll just take what we can get. That's a strategy. But that strategy means you never really feel that confident that if something were to happen in the marketplace or if something were to happen in your business that you'd be able to survive it. The better strategy is to put some, I think, I've learned, to put some thought into it and to really understand, A, who your customer is, B, why they use you, and C, is the pricing the maximum amount of pricing that you can get for the type of customer that you're looking to attract. And if you can put some thought into it, you might be surprised at how much additional cash your business is generating because of the margin that comes from thinking through these things. Whether it's $1 an hour, $100 an hour, $1,000 a product, $2,000 a service, whatever that number is or whatever that math is going to look like. The more thought that you can put into understanding why your business charges what it charges, the better off you're going to be. And then when you put what your business is charging across the marketplace, the spectrum of the lowest providers and the highest providers, and you put your business somewhere on that spectrum, that then gives you the opportunity to start being strategic. So when you see different things happening in the marketplace, you can react quickly and hopefully squeeze out some more money, because you will understand that if someone further up the spectrum from you, if a company further up the spectrum from you is having a hard time servicing their customers because maybe something material has changed in the marketplace, that you are there to pick up those customers and bring them into your market. So the point is, this episode is, how do you set the prices in your business? First of all, figure out the spectrum. Secondly, figure out where your business fits on the spectrum and what is it adding in terms of value and experience, and how is it able to operate better than everyone else on the spectrum in order to figure out where the best pricing for your customer should be. And then lastly, it's an interesting thought exercise, but it starts to put in place some thinking in terms of how to better your business, which is what would you like your price to be? What would your business have to do in order to get that price? Now, this isn't, I wish our business could charge, a gazillion dollars an hour, or I wish we could charge $1 million for every job. No, that's not true. If you dialed it down and said, hang on a second, what price would we like to get? When we look at that spectrum, we're not on the low end, we're not on the high end. Chances are we're somewhere in the middle. But if we wanted to push ourselves up the spectrum, what would need to happen for us to be able to do that? And sometimes the answer will come down to we have to cut our costs, we have to become more efficient, we have to do a better job of capturing our costs and then charging them out. So there's like the expense side of that question. But the more important side is the value side or the revenue side, which is what could we add to the experience that our customers would find helpful, that they would be prepared to pay a little bit more for? What other services or products could we offer that would help us increase our prices, or price another product that today, if they bought it, it's good for them tomorrow, but they got it at a discount today? Like, there's a lot of different things that a business owner can do to figure out what would they like their price to be, and then how do they get it there. But you got to start somewhere. And I have always found that asking that question on a very regular basis will begin to stimulate some interesting thinking and generally produces some interesting ideas. It's not the sort of exercise where you walk away from it and within 5 minutes you sort of go, yay, let's do this. I think what happens is if you're constantly evaluating who your customers are, who the good ones are, who the ones are that if they were replaced, that would be okay. If you were constantly watching your average sale per customer on a trend basis and you started to understand what each customer is worth to you, as you do that on a regular basis and you keep asking yourself the question, what price would we like to get for our product or our service, and what would we need to do in order to get it? Over time, the answer will become obvious. And I've seen that work in my businesses that I've been a part of. I know if we've offered incentives, that generally has helped us increase the average price per customer. I know that if we have focused very heavily on making sure that our costs are as tight as they can be, that has helped us get the price that we want to get, not in terms of what we charge our customers, but what stays in our bank account. And so, hopefully that gives you some things to think about if you're an entrepreneur that's in the struggling quadrant or the adjusting quadrant and you're really trying to get your business back into growth mode. Growing depends on how much revenue your business earns. How much revenue your business earns depends on your pricing, and your pricing should be determined by how much value and experience, how much value your customers are putting into the experience they have with your business, plus how well you manage your costs. And that should be comparable against a spectrum of businesses in the marketplace so that you can place your business on that spectrum and understand, why are you not at one end? What does it take to get to the other end? And then begin working on the tactics and strategies that help you get there. And I'm always around for a conversation if you'd like to talk about what this means specifically in your business. I know in these episodes I can talk very generally, but if you're interested in doing a deep dive in your business, it's a couple of minutes on the phone, on a Teams meeting or a Zoom call, just to chat about your business. I can share with you what I've learned about pricing services, what has worked for me, what hasn't worked for me. Even if you're a real estate agent, or you run a mortgage brokerage, or you run a repair shop, or a construction company, or a manufacturing company, I've been able to touch all of those and feel very confident that I could help you with the pricing in your business. So find a way to reach out, book a time to chat if it works for you. There's a link in the show notes that you can use to do that, or find me on LinkedIn or Twitter. Send a message over and I'd be happy to chat. So hopefully from here, you're going to go back, reevaluate your prices, or as you're driving to and fro from your business over the next week, you can contemplate what kind of price would we like to get for the product or the service that we offer? What would we need to offer in order to be able to do that? And then start working through some of the other things that I've discussed on this episode. So thanks for tuning in, and hopefully we see you on the next one.